Typical Unitarians, right? We're surprised by prayer.
Yeah.
So they get that.
Yeah.
We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place.
So what springs to mind when I ask you about your religious or spiritual background?
I grew up UU. I grew up going to the Unitarian Church of Vancouver. Had my infant dedication ceremony there when I was a baby, and kind of attended on and off through childhood. And then when I started, getting into youth group and being a teenager, it started to really stick. Getting involved with the youth programming and youth leadership stuff beyond just the congregation. Yeah, so that's the main piece of my spiritual upbringing. I also, we did a few things at home here and there. Definitely was raised in a bit of a, hippie household. So we had some rituals and birth-based stuff. That's all kind of part of the mix too.
And is there anything that you want to share about your family that you want others at church to know about? Either your family of origin or your kind of current family constellation, however you define that.
I guess one interesting tidbit is that my mom is a UU minister. So that she wasn't when I was a kid, but since when I was a teenager, she went back to school and started, following that dream of hers. So that's definitely part of my family that is like relevant to church life too. And otherwise, yeah, I have a sister who lives in Vancouver, and my dad died about 6 years ago. So that's my close nuclear family. And beyond that, I also live with some wonderful roommates and love living with other people. So I consider, whoever I'm living with at the time becomes my family in a way too.
When has spirituality failed you, lifted you up, or surprised you?
Those are good questions. I think about, I have different answers for all of the different parts of them. So
Sure. Yeah, we've got time. No rush.
okay. Failed me. It's a bit of a strong term, but like I felt like when I was going through a really hard time when my dad was dying, and after he died, when I was feeling, I just really needed support of spiritual community. I found that my Unitarian community was like really nice and really wanted to help, and like did provide some really lovely like practical support. But as far as like the spiritual comfort that I needed, I ended up going to Christian churches a lot during that time, and spaces that that just felt a bit more I don't know exactly what it was that I was looking for, but I wasn't finding it in the UU spaces. And I did find it, maybe it's the part of me that wants more acknowledgement of like God. And I find some of that stuff really comforting, especially when I'm in a place of needing that kind of comfort. And surprising, or uplifting was the other one, right?
Yeah, uplifted and surprised are the trio I picked randomly.
Yeah. I mean, uplifted so many times. I think a lot about my experiences as like a youth, in like youth worship times, like going through all of the turmoil of being a teenager. And I found those spaces, especially like at youth conferences and youth worship spaces, like really uplifting during that time and like really empowering, and especially getting to like lead worship and learn about how to hold sacred space for others, and like really discovering my own spirituality and beliefs and in community. That was definitely, still like a very important time that has like, still continues to carry me to this day. And surprisingly, I think a moment that I think of being surprised by my spirituality was when maybe I was like in my early 20s, and had a couple of experiences of being in a place that felt like a really sacred space, or going through like some big emotions that felt like too big for just me to hold, and like having this feeling of like wanting to pray and like be in conversation with something bigger, and feeling like I hadn't really been taught how to do that as a Unitarian. And that kind of surprised me. I was like, oh, I didn't think that was a thing I would want to do, but here we are. And I feel like I need some skills. I think I need some tools. And so that's been an interesting journey too, like in my adulthood, trying to learn some of those tools and skills, and just like trusting my own intuition about like what prayer is, what it is to like be in conversation with the divine.
What do you hope that our congregation or our faith as a larger group will do together, both in the world and for each other?
I mean, I think one thing that I think we're pretty good at, that I hope we keep doing, is just like caring for each other, especially in these extremely stressful COVID times. Like just being patient with each other, and like doing those like really practical supportive things, reaching out, letting each other know we're thinking about each other. I think that's something that church communities do really well, and that we can like help teach others to do a bit better as well. And in the larger world, I mean, how big do you want to go? I think we've got some really interesting times ahead. Like we are, the planet is changing, and society is changing, and churches are changing, and like we're going to be, I think that the shape that we are now is not necessarily going to be the shape that is going to be like most needed or possible even in the future, in however many years. So I just really hope that we like stay open to changing and like transforming, and paying attention to like what the world needs from us, rather than just like what we've always done. I don't necessarily know what all those answers are, but I think that that's a skill that I hope that we will continue to like practice.
And just kind of the usual open-ended question at the end. Is there anything else that you want to share with others at church? This is especially going out to families, but we may share it with our larger congregation in general too. So it's your soapbox moment or your self-disclosure moment or whatever.
I think just like keeping gentle with yourselves. Like, yeah, things are still hard. We're not out of it yet. And yeah, keep having patience with yourself and others, and like know that like we're here for you when you're ready. Like the community's here and we like want to see you again. And sometimes it might feel really hard to like make that step at this point, and maybe we're like not ready yet, but when you're ready, we're here.